Come on. Are you ready, Ben Gibbs?
Anytime,
Always
man.
ready.
Anytime, man. We've been waiting for you to get over here on the couch with us.
Well, welcome to the Darren Woodson Show. Today's guest is David Meltzer.
Did you just screw up your own name, by the way?
I said the Darren Woodson Show.
The Darren Woodson Show.
So, hey, David, so just so you know, like Ben's only role in this show is to call us out for anything that he thinks we do wrong. And most of the time he makes them up. Anytime he calls me out, he's making it up for sure.
That beats the crap out of Stat Boy. I like Ball Buster much better.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Duke, should I start all over again?
Continue your read.
I'm going to read it. Welcome to the Darren Woodson Show.
There you
Clean.
go.
Today's guest is David Meltzer, who is the co-founder of Sports One Marketing and formerly served as CEO of the renowned Leigh Steinberg Sports and Entertainment Agency, which was the inspiration for the movie Jerry Maguire. His life mission is to empower over 1 billion people to be happy. This simple yet powerful mission has led him on an incredible journey to provide one thing: value. In all his content and communication, that's exactly what you'll receive. As part of the mission, for the past 20 years, he's been providing free weekly trainings to empower others to be happy. And I love that part.
Love that.
That was the Ron Burgundy moment, by the way. You just read what was written down. I think that was a typo.
See what?
Oh, see, that's what so you see what I'm dealing with?
Hey, I printed out what they sent me. Hey, I printed out what they sent me.
Hey, Darren, I was so engaged with what you were saying because I'm so excited to have David on that I didn't even catch that because I'm not looking for the wrong things. Hey, I'm looking to be happy. I'm looking for joy, and I want you to teach us how to teach Ben to also be happy and not look for the negative things in life. That would be, if we can accomplish one thing on this show today, that is it.
Man,
teach Ben to be happy.
Let's start with rule one. You cannot find outside of you what you can't find inside of you.
Yes,
There
sir.
you go.
Be careful what we're projecting on each other.
There you go.
It's all out of insecurity, honestly.
But I will tell you this, 'cause I like to talk shit as much as anyone. I wish I would have put in there F you, San Diego. At the end.
Go F yourself, San Diego.
Exactly.
Oh my God. So David, we want to go back, man, into, a lot of people know who you are, but we want to go back and talk about the journey and where you grew up, your family life, your mother and father. Give us some background, some color of, where you come from and what that upbringing was like.
It's interesting because there's two things. That sign behind me says money doesn't buy happiness or love. And those are the things I grew up with: happiness, love, and no money. And I had a single mom. My dad left when I was 5, 6 kids though, 5 boys and a girl. Wow. Not very athletic. I'm not lying. If I graduated summa cum laude from Harvard, which all my siblings graduated from some Ivy League school, summa cum laude, nobody would wink an eye. The fact that I played football in college, and I was an average Division III football player. I played with Vance Mueller, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, Vance Mueller, yeah.
So I'm an average Division III football. You would think I'm God in my family. That's how little talent we have. But academically, I grew up with a mom. It was doctor, lawyer, or failure. It was the fetus isn't fully developed till after graduate school. You can do whatever you want after graduate school. The whole world revolved around my grades, and I was the only one that kind of put a different perspective on things. And I'll tell you why, because my mom was extraordinary. 2 jobs, packed my dinner in a paper bag, station wagon. She filled up greeting cards at night at the 7-Elevens on those turnstiles. Remember the old turnstiles?
Oh, yeah.
Just so we could eat. And then she would spend our food stamps and others just so we could eat. I remember, I like you guys, I get to eat at the greatest restaurants in the world. And I sit there thinking, with tears in my eyes, I remember how happy I was when my mom could afford 2 large French fries, pour them into a big bowl, and then we'd share them, right? And I'd eat fast as shit so I could get
prison style, right? Like covering it up.
Exactly. But I wanted to buy my mom a house and a car. We had a 2-bedroom apartment, 6 kids. It was not easy, but it was awesome. And the only time I was unhappy was when my mom, financial struggles, right? Car breakdown, all these things. And I'd see her crying, and I still get choked up. And I thought to myself, man, if I could just buy my mom a house and a car, everything will be perfect in my life. And so I worked really hard. And the advantage of thinking money buys happiness and love, and when you're after money, there is an advantage to it. And I learned my lessons, which we'll get into, I'm sure. But the advantage is this: when you're only about money, you learn to keep your options open. One thing I comparatively looked at with my siblings is because they were so academic, Harvard, Penn, Columbia, doctor, lawyer, failure, their eyes were always like this, right? They were well-trained. I'm going to be a doctor. Everything, there was no other options, where I just want to be rich. So, some dude could give me a bag and tell me, run it down to the Lawsons, here's $5. I'd do it. Right. But that helped me, because when I graduated law school, because I do respect my mom, I do listen to her, but I didn't put as much energy into it. I graduated Tulane, did very well, but I got a job offer to be a litigator. To make $150,000. By the way, any of you kids out there think you haven't made because you're making $150,000 out of business school or law school, you're not making shit. You got 3 jobs. You got 3 jobs that pay $50,000 a piece. Let's just be honest. Right? It's not a high-paying job. It's just 3 jobs in one, and those guys are conning you. So anyway, I ended up getting another offer because I wanted to go to the highest bidder. I got a sales offer for $250,000 comp plan in the internet. My mom freaked out, told me 1992, Chrome monitors, you carry your computer on a luggage cart. Yep. She said, internet's a fad. You're going to lose all your money. What are you thinking about? I spent my whole life to make you a lawyer, and you're going to be a salesperson? The internet's a fad. 9 months out of law school, I took the sales job. I was a millionaire, bought my mom the house and the car, paid off my law loans. And here's what's interesting. From 24 on, it reaffirmed money bought love and happiness. So I wasn't one of those people that would back off of it once I made money, going, oh yeah, my Ferrari sucks. This jet sucks. Like, I was just like, I'm going to make more of this money because this is the key to life. Right. And, but it took me a little longer than most. I ended up being the CEO of Samsung's first phone division, the first smartphone in 1999. They called them convergence devices. It was a Windows device. With Samsung, and I was a multimillionaire, married my dream girl. I even thought the girl that married me was because I had money, because I had met her in the 4th grade. 6th grade camp, my best friend asked her to go study for me, and she said in front of everyone, no, tell him to ask me himself. So I threw an egg at her. So she hated me.
Seems logical, though. I mean, that would be my response in 6th grade for sure. Throwing eggs.
She was taller than me at the time, too, and she's only 5 feet today, so you can imagine how small I was.
You had 0 game back in the day.
Anyway, I ended up, that just in my mind, every single thing was about money. And then 3 things happened in my life to teach me those valuable lessons about my journey about money and happiness that led me for today. So if you don't mind, I'll kind of go into those.
Yes, please.
First thing was when I was 30 years old, I got my first birthday present in 20 years from my father. So when my father left me at 5, I was crushed, because this is the 70s, right? And there's deadbeat dads, but I'm 5 years old. I'm in the back of the station wagon. All I see is my dad's rich. He has a wife that's closer to my age than his, drives his convertible Cadillac and waves. I'm kind of like that movie, The Chef, standing in the front yard and he waves, forgets me. But I think he's my hero. But at 10 years old, he screws up and he forgets my birthday. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, what really screwed me up was that when I asked him, how could you forget my birthday? He said, and I'm the most like him. So we had a really close relationship, right? He's a sales guy. He's a lawyer. He's an entrepreneur. And he said to me, Dave, I didn't forget your birthday. I don't believe in birthdays. But he was celebrating everyone else's birthday. So in my mind, I'm like, you are a liar, a cheater, a manipulator, overseller, back-end seller. And I certainly felt guilty because I've been sitting in a station wagon at night telling my mom, why can't you be more like dad? Meanwhile, he's not even writing her a check. We're living on food stamp and he's not paying child support. So at 30 years old, he gives me this gift. I open it, I put it on. It's a beautiful sport coat, fits perfectly. I start crying. My wife, we're newly married. I'm 30. She's like, why are you crying? I go, this is the first gift I've gotten in 20 years. I think my dad gets it. I've been, like any other son, I've really wanted to have a relationship with him. I want him to understand who I am. I want him to say that he's proud of me. And I'm crying. And I open the jacket to see if it says, especially made for David Meltzer's 30th birthday, or Armani. And I look at, and he tore out all the lining, all the pockets. I immediately lose my mind. I call him up. I'm like, Dad, why are you punishing me? He's like, happy birthday. I go, yeah, why are you punishing me? He goes, what are you saying? I said, you gave me a jacket. I can't even wear it. He said, oh, he goes, it's not for wearing. I'm like, what's it for? He said, to remind you, you're just like me. I exploded. I'm like, I'm nothing like you. You're a liar, a cheater, manipulator, back-end seller. I hate you. He said, son, you're just like me. Money does not buy love and happiness. I want you to hang the jacket to remind you every day that you're not going to be the richest man in the cemetery. That you can't take anything with you when you're gone. You got to change. I'm telling you, I know you're a multimillionaire. I know you have a beautiful wife. I know you think you understand, but don't make the same mistakes as me. I wasn't ready to hear it at 30. I was ego driven. I was Midas. There was nothing going to tell me. And I told him to F off, and I hung up. 6 years later, the second thing happened. I was working for Leigh Steinberg, but at this time now, Warren Moon's my business partner, just gets inducted into the Hall of Fame. 2006, I'm a multimillionaire. I got the best job in the world, access to guys like Darren Woodson, going to every single Super Bowl, Pro Bowl, Masters, Kentucky Derby, Breeders' Cup, ESPYs, Emmys, Oscars, all the Playboy parties, because those were allowed back then. It was amazing. And I asked my best friend, Rob, yes, the guy that asked my wife to go steady, I asked him, hey, man, you want to go to the Masters? We got Shannon Sharp, Vincey Glenn, you get to go to the cabins. You got to smile on Vincey. You got the cabins with Curtis Strange, the NetJet parties. Yep. He looked at me and he's like, no, I don't want to go. I'm like, you love golf. The Masters, as anyone will tell you, is the #1 bucket list sporting event. Yeah. It never disappoints. Right. Super Bowls can disappoint, All-Star games for sure, but a Masters will never disappoint if you go. He will not go with me. I'm like, why won't you go? He said, I don't like who you go with, and I don't like what you guys are doing. And I was like, dude, come on. I'm not doing what those guys are doing. He goes, Dave, you can lie to yourself. I mean, you can lie to me, but don't lie to yourself. You're partying way too much. You're not paying attention. Things are not going to go well for you, and I don't want to be around. Man, I was distraught because that was the first time that I realized that I've been living my life, and you guys are all athletes. You'll get this. I was taking yes for an answer from everyone. Nobody around me was telling me the truth. Even my wife, my mom, everyone was bought off. And even though they didn't have intentions to be bought off, I enabled them. They were afraid to tell me the truth. And so they just overlooked the partying, overlooked the drugs, overlooked the bad behavior. And it was all, but nobody except for Rob told me the truth. And then my life would change forever 2 weeks later. I went to the Grammy Awards with a guy named Little John, and I lied to my wife. I asked my wife,
Little John. That's what you're talking about. Okay.
Exactly. We had a little Jaeger party with John at the Grammy Awards, and we actually kicked Ruben Studdard out of the party. But I wasn't supposed to be there. My wife said I was partying too much. At this time, I have 3 girls under 8 years old. Right? 3 little girls. And my wife's like, you're not paying attention to your family. You're not paying attention to business. You're partying way too much. And I lied to her, said Leigh and I had a meeting, and I went to the Grammy Awards, came home wasted at 5:30 in the morning, and she was waiting for me. And for the first time in our marriage and probably in my life, she told me she wasn't happy. She told me that I better take stock in who I was and what I wanted to become, because not only was she going to leave me, but I was going to be dead. And I wish I could have told you even then that I immediately said, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I literally said, F you. Who do you think you're talking to? Look around you. Whole, I was all over her. How dare you say this to me? I go to bed. I wake up. I'm in the same mode, man. I'm like, I'm going to take her happiness. I went to law school. I got tons of lawyers. I'm going to take her money. I'm going to take her happiness. This is it. F her. She doesn't appreciate everything I've done. And then just as I was about to call no shit, I look over in my closet like the Naturals bat, like Wonder Boy. Yeah. There's a light shining on that goddamn jacket that my dad gave me. And I looked at that jacket and my life changed, because I looked at it and I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, I don't hate my father. I hate myself. I'm the liar. I'm the cheater. I'm the back end seller, overseller, manipulator. I got to literally take hold, or I'm literally going to lose everything, including myself. And that's when I just sat down, started outlining values, taking stock in who I was. And it took me a while. I started implementing them, saved my marriage, saved my family, saved my own life, saved my job with Leigh, all the great things that happened. And it didn't happen overnight. I lost over $100 million. I'm one of the few guys that'll tell you, I bottomed out in 2006, but I lost over $100 million in 2008. But through those same principles I lost, same values, I've been able to rebuild everything bigger and better by helping tons of people to make their own money, elevating others to elevate myself. And that's really what I do all day long through TV shows, podcasts, all the things that I'm involved with, is to educate people about these values and daily practices that really empower you to not only be happy, but to be kind to your future self and do good deeds.
Yeah. Yeah. But you know what, man, there's a lot to peel
I was
back.
going to say,
we're going to go back on you. We're going to peel this onion back a little bit. I want to go back as far as, there had to be reminders other than just those two. There had to be points in your life when you woke up in the morning, you said, man, I'm in a hotel somewhere. And you're like, hey, this ain't scalable. I can't continue this. I mean, were there any other points or messages that were out there that were, that people were sending to you?
So here's the interesting thing that was difficult. And Leigh is an admitted alcoholic. So I'm around that even, right? And Warren parties some, but he has the stamina of like a 24-year-old. The guy never had a beer till he, finished playing at 44. Right. But that guy he's one of those guys that'll stay out. He won't really party, but he'll stay out till 4 and then go get pizza till 7 a.m. And the problem with all three of us is we didn't really get hungover, and we both had high energy. So we didn't miss things. I was what I would call a functioning idiot. Drugs, alcohol, but I was showing up at 7 a.m. I never missed a meeting. There's times I didn't feel that well about the partying. The part that really bothered me was the things that I would do that weren't really on the drug or alcohol side. It was more on, being at a strip club, for example, right? I adore my wife and I'm a follower, like I'm a pleaser. So I remember going to clubs and, there's girls and everything that happens in there, and miserable the whole time, still drinking, still partying, doing all kinds of stuff, pretending but in my head, I'm literally saying to myself, why are you doing this? Yeah. You should be at home. And that happened a lot of my life. I would ask myself, everyone else was jealous of what I was doing. I was at the Super Bowl, and in my heart and soul, I just wanted to be at home with my family. And as much as I learned that lesson, even during COVID, I thought I had great balance. I even learned how much I was missing out because of COVID, because I got to have dinner. I'll tell you right now, and you guys can hold me to this. You guys could give me sideline passes to a Super Bowl, the Wheels Up party, whatever else I go to, or I have a choice to have dinner with all for my children and my wife. I'm at home having dinner with my kids. That's how much I've learned to value it. And that's just recently because of COVID that I would give up something like that to have dinner. That's how much it's changed.
Yeah. Talk about, you said early on when you were a kid, your ambition was to make money because you watched your mother who worked her tail off to provide for you guys, to create successful individuals, and it was money. But talk about, when you realized the emptiness of chasing that, and you alluded to it very, very early in the conversation, but, talk about how it escalates, right? Okay. I've got 100 million. Okay. Then I've got this benefit that comes with having money. Then I've got this, but the search for constantly wanting something more until you get that perspective that you got, coming home to your wife after lying about the Grammys and realizing that like that gave me less happiness than, like you said, when you were poor and at home with your family, you were always happy and you didn't have anything. So what did it take after finding that success, but realizing that if I keep chasing that more money, that all that's going to lead to is destruction?
And the way that I've analyzed it is 3 worlds. And I encourage people to identify what world they live in and what times. We don't always live in these 3 worlds at one time. You switch them, but there's a world of not enough. And you can find yourself in this world where you live as a victim. And you could have millions of dollars and live in the world of not enough. You guys know these guys with $40 million houses, and they just don't have enough. They're a victim. Everything's happening to them, right? And yet they seem to materially have a ton. But there's a world of not enough, a scarce world where people just need more and more and more. Then there's this world that I lived a long time in, which I call the world of just enough. And this is where money is interesting because money's a currency. It's an object of energy that we get into the flow to get what we want. But there's a little bit of faith as well. Faith.
Whoa, wait a minute. Say that again. Say that again. Money is a what? It's
a currency, right? Everyone knows they call money a currency because it's an object of energy that you put into the flow to get what you want. It's in the current and it gets what you want. Wow. Well, faith is a currency to me. Faith is an object of energy that I put into the flow to get what I want. Wow. It's just much more powerful. And there's a blend that started happening. And there's this world of just enough where, and you guys might recognize this from some of your friends. I'm sure you weren't like this, but buying things you don't need, buying more things when you weren't happy, buying different things when you weren't happy, buying things to impress other people. And here's the worst one. I was buying things to impress people I didn't even like. That's how much I was living in the world of just enough. Everything was for me. And here's another interesting paradigm, because this is a terrific question. Giving, I was extremely philanthropic, but I was giving for the wrong reasons because I'd always learned the more you give, the more you get. And that seems logical. I think that statement destroys people because they don't understand that you actually have to receive so you can give. So I shifted my paradigm from, giving is a trade. The more I give, the more I get. It's a negotiation. It's a trade. I'll give my brother a house, but I want the recognition. I'll give my mom this, but I want her to acknowledge I'm her favorite child. I'll give to the church, but they better put my name up on the pew. This is the way I used to give. Once I decided that I lived not in the world of to me or for me, but this new world of more than enough, everything was going to come through me. I was so faithful that I believe that the more I received, the more I could give. And it takes a lot of faith because you have to have faith in yourself that you truly have the intent that you're going to receive. And I'll tell you, Warren Buffett to me is the classic example of this. Warren Buffett, I'm 52 years old. When he was my age, he got a ton of crap from people. And the reason was he wasn't philanthropic. He wasn't giving his money away. But it's because he understood the principle of acceleration, growth, and compound interest. He understood that every dollar he gave to a charity today would be $1,000 when he was 86, and he'd be one of the richest men in the world 30 years if people would be patient, and he could use that as a platform to convince other billionaires to give all their wealth away like he would. And trust me, when Warren Buffett dies, he will be the greatest donor of the entire world of all times, not just for the billions that he's giving away to everybody, but to inspire all the other billionaires to give at least half of their money away. It's going to equal trillions of dollars of an impact for a guy who had to take heat. But you guys all know, especially playing sports, they laugh at you, they make fun of you, they scoff at you, and then they applaud you. And I applaud Warren Buffett for that as well. For me, though, that paradigm, I shifted. I'm a receiver. I try to get as much as I can with complete confidence to allow it to come through me with appreciation, gratitude, and my own values, and give it away. Nothing stays with me. And the interesting thing about money doesn't buy love, but it allows you to shop. It's a currency. And if you shop for the right things, it will make you happy. So money's still really important to me because I can shop for community centers in Africa. We built a university in Africa. I'm the chief chancellor of Junior Achievement University, 100 million kids learning how to be entrepreneurs. I truly believe entrepreneurs will save the world. So I'm heavily invested into young entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, socially economically diverse entrepreneurs, the people that are going to change the world, and then they get to make the decisions.
So I want to go back. Here's one of the things that let me ask you this, Dave. When was the time that you realized when you were a kid that you were poor?
When kids laughed at the car, like when I drove up to school and I was embarrassed to get out of the car and they made fun of me.
Didn't you say something?
Oh man, my mom used to drive this beat up Nova, and I used to tell her to drop me off down the street, around the corner, and let me walk up to school. Because that thing made so much noise and it smoked and it had no hubcaps. It had bullet holes on the side of it. It was ragged.
Dude, my junior year in high school, I had to drive the family minivan. I didn't have a car. And so I would literally I would do the same thing.
You win.
I would park.
Minivan always wins.
I'm not joking. I would park down the street just like you said. I wouldn't park anywhere near the school, and I would just walk down the street to the school. I didn't want anybody to know. That's a side tangent, but that's funny that we had that same experience.
I mean, it's the same thing. That's why I asked, when did you know this? Because, and this is the reason why I asked. Your story is similar to my story in the fact that I realized that I was poor. Because of the car we drove and the clothes I was wearing but it took a while. It took me up until I was, maybe 6th grade to figure that out. Right. But then I became urgent and money became, once I made a